Turn me up, turn me up, turn me up. It's your boy Ralph, aka Mr. Indeed.
And you already know it's your boy Antoine, aka Mr. Parker. And like normal, guys, we're here for a good time, not a long time. And we promise to always keep it
Real, raw, and relevant. Welcome to the Rated R Podcast.
Got the little clap thing. All right.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, brother.
So, first of all, we're going to get right into it. Again, thank you guys for watching. It never go unnoticed. We're going to keep doing what we're doing because we really love what we do. My co-host with me, Mr. Parker, a.k.a. Red, a.k.a. Bet on Red, whatever he need to be, that's what he going to be. But today, guys, very special guest, somebody that I look up to. He's always been ever since I entered their family, he always been family. And so without further ado, the Reverend Herman, family man Wilson. How you doing today, Herman?
Man, I am great, man. How are you? It's amazing to see you, man. It's amazing to see you. And how you doing, Mr. Red? Very nice to meet you.
You too, brother. You too, brother. I like your hat too. Got to tell you earlier.
Ralph the one told me to grab my best hat now.
I told him. I said you got.
My wife caught me coming over here with this hat on and had no idea what was going on. She gave me that little and you look good. You know what I'm saying? The little under the breath, you look good. Yeah, so I do believe I'm cutting up. That's all right.
Yeah, as you should, as you should.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna get a matter of fact. You got somewhere where you want to shout out anywhere to follow you?
Well, I'm the Reverend Herman Wilson. I'm the missionary pastor at New Heaven Grove Missionary Baptist Church here in Jackson, Mississippi. We're 665 Claiborne Avenue. Man, we're a place where everyone belongs. And if you come here, that was my father's motto before he passed on. If you come here, we're going to treat you like you belong here. Everybody is somebody in Christ. That's been our motto since, well before he passed on. But we've embodied those words, and we try to be that for our community, whether it's family or friends or, whatever the case may be. But we're just a place where everybody is somebody in Christ.
I like that. And you say you're right here in Jackson?
Right here in Jackson, man. We meet right over there on Claiborne Avenue, right behind Provine High School. We have that whole block that used to be St. Mary's. We have that whole block back there where the football field is, and they have a little football team that meets in the in the summertime and early fall. The school, the gym, the convent, all those buildings, those are all Black owned now. And we're just using that location to edify the name of God.
I like that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to come check you out.
You should.
Okay. Brad, what you got in your cup? Communion?
Yeah, bro. He turned water into wine, so I had to drink a little wine tonight.
He sure did.
Okay.
No judgment here, fellas. Let's go.
We're gonna get straight into it. So, I researched some questions. Well, we researched some questions, and I kind of just want to hear your perspective. So I'm gonna jump straight into it with question one. So I maybe a little personal. You can just judge how you want. But what are some of your personal struggles with faith?
Well, I'm a human, and I must admit that, like, when it comes to my personal struggles as far as my faith goes, I say but I'm a part of a whole. There's me and my wife. We take that very seriously. We are one. There aren't many lessons that I've learned that I haven't learned right there beside her, or she actually been the one to initiate the teaching of it to me. The biggest thing that we've noticed that kind of was the constant in the times that we would question in our faith well, not necessarily questioning our faith, but just having faith doubts. It's we're human. So when the human struggles of the world come upon you, or come upon your household, or come upon your finances, those are the times that it's easiest to wonder if God is real, and to wonder if God is really, a fan of yours, because every day isn't going to be Sunday, right? That's what my father used to say all the time. You can't expect every day to be Sunday. Every day is not going to be Sunday. And what he meant by that is that every day is not going to be a good day. And there is this notion that once you become a Christian, then your troubles are over. Once you take all your burden, you take your burden to the Lord, and you're expected to leave it there, and there's this great misconception that that is the end of the journey, that there is no more development need to be had, there's no more learning need to be done, and that is a terrible misconception, because it's the people of God who actually get their faith tested for the things that I believe we expect God for. So what we expecting from God, or what we're asking from God, they're always these great big things, because we serve a God that's so big. Those are the beliefs that are in us, that there's nothing too hard for my God. There's no situation that he's not bigger than. There's nothing that is bigger than my God. So we come to God with the greatest of our transgressions and the greatest of our requests. I had a situation back in 2019 where we lost my father, and a few months later, my baby girl was born. A few months after that, my wife took ill, and she has asthma real bad, and we lost her for a while. Maybe I can't remember, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, something along those lines. But my wife was no longer with us. And I can remember just praying and praying and praying and praying. And I never lost my faith in God, because I understood that he could fix the situation if it was in his will to fix the situation. And it's surrendering that control over the things that we don't own, surrendering that control over the things that we have no power over. And you just have to allow God some room to be God. That situation, while it didn't take my wife, it brought the both of us closer to God. And we noticed that in those times of struggle, in those times of turmoil, in those times of strife, those are the times that we question what's going on with God. When everything's going right, like we don't even, it doesn't even come up whether God is a part of this or not. We say our blessing over our food and we eat it, but we have to get in the habit of saying our blessings over the steak and eggs, as well as the noodles and Vienna sausages. You have to thank God for both of those things. You see what I'm saying? So it's like someone who has and I'm not saying, it's anything wrong with it, because I eat Viennas and noodles all the time. But, someone who has that situation in their face or on their plate, it's hard for them, or it can get hard for them to believe that, God is so big because we have so little. But what we've learned is that it's in those times that God is trying to teach you to use the little for a bigger cause. Or, you just got to be grateful for what you have. In all situations, you got to find yourself content. That's just that.
Hey, and I'm glad that you said that, Herman. And the next one, you kind of hit on it already, but I want you to kind of elaborate on it, right? So,
Okay.
how do you balance your personal life with your ministry responsibilities?
Ooh. I would say an understanding partner.
Hmm.
That's gonna be that one. To balance your regular life with a ministry of any sort, and it could be a music ministry or anything else, you're gonna have to have someone in your corner, whoever that person is that you're depending on. They're gonna have to understand that you're doing, mission work, and you're doing what you're doing for a greater cause. Sometimes that means later nights, sometimes that means later hours, sometimes that means a church service, 2 states over, just to show support. We never know what the ministry will call you to do, especially in times such as these, where the ministry normally calls, because the ministry will call you to, sickness and death. Those aren't things that can take a back seat to many other things. We've had situations where we would have to leave our vacations, 2 and 3 days early so that I can make services, back at home in our home town. We've had situations where we'll have obligations at this ministry for a certain time and then, have to hightail it to the another ministry, to show support or, basically to hold your word. The balance it's not really a balance at all. There will be times that a ministry calls upon you and it's nothing you can do. You just kind of got to go with the flow. But what I've learned and what I've seen is that God will always bless you with, those situations that you wanted, and he'll kind of keep you as long as if you love me, feed my sheep. If you can devote your life to that or devote your ministry to that, then it won't be hard for you to, tell your wife, hey, I'm sorry, but we're not gonna be able to stay till Tuesday with the rest of the family. We're gonna have to go back Saturday evening, because I have a Sunday morning obligation. And my wife has every right and reason in the world to not understand these things.
Right.
But I can't necessarily even say I picked my wife. I believe my wife was sent to me. The wife God gave me understands. And, that's just, that's something that you can't ask for. It's a trait that you can't really look for in a woman. That's just one of those things where you're going to have to be moving in your purpose and you have to find someone that's willing to support you while moving in your purpose. And not only that, like she wants the best for you in your purpose. Like a lot of times when we deal with, mates and stuff, we have situations where people trying to change other people into what they want them to be.
Right. Right.
And that doesn't really work when it comes to ministry, and you have those guys who have those wives who always have them booked, for this or that, or booked for, this convention or a speaking engagement here, and then they burn the preacher out, but they just trying to just put him everywhere. She's supporting his ministry, but she's not following where God is leading his ministry. She's actually trying to lead his ministry for him. You see what I'm saying? So you have those situations, but there is no balance. Just know that whatever God requires of you, he'll give it back, and that goes for time. There hadn't been a situation where, well, sometimes you're just going to have to wait on it too. This December made 11 years for my wife and I. We were married on the 22nd of 23rd of December. And with it being so close to Christmas and us being so family oriented, we didn't go on a honeymoon. And we've never been able to go on a trip around our anniversary date because of the proximity to Christmas and the holidays and all this other stuff. This year, my wife, she went for hers, baby. She said she was going for hers, and we went on a cruise. We had a beautiful time, but that
Yes,
might be
sir.
the first time that I've had my wife to myself around our wedding day. You know, it was just one of those things that just couldn't happen. Our obligation to the church, you know, but that didn't stop us, you know, but you know, our obligation to the church came first. We never wanted to leave our church at, you know, at that time during the holidays. You know, there's so much that we're usually trying to get through. You don't want to leave the kids hanging, and I'm a big, you know, Christmas time dad. So, you know,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm the black Chevy Chase, you know, like I'm trying to
Yeah,
make Christmas perfect. So it was like it was just never one of those things where we could actually steal away, you know, to have a moment to ourselves. And this year was the first time that we did it. But honestly, my wife sacrificed uh her honeymoon for 11 years. 11
Hey,
years.
well,
You see
hey,
what I'm
10 years.
saying? For us
10
to get
years.
to that point. Now we go places and we do stuff, you know, but nothing ever on or around our anniversary.
Right.
And that was just a big thing for us this year, man. But you know, the balance is it's way off.
hey, listen,
It's
Herman.
way off.
All you got to tell is you said the 22nd because you was trying to marry her the day before. You was ready.
Oh man, listen, I'll fix it up. Don't worry about it. I got it. I got it. I got it.
Okay.
And then
What's up?
I'm dealing
Go
with a
ahead.
woman who is literally the left side of my brain anyway. So, you know, me saying the 21st or the 25th or whatever the case may be, I would expect her to go ahead and correct the fella right quick. And I'm cool with that. I don't mind it at all.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Especially the partner part. Me and Raph had talked about that before. Uh, we don't necessarily do the whole happy wife, happy life scenario,
Well,
happy spouse.
that's not how life works. Although it, you know, sometimes you got to know when, you know, pick your battles, young men.
Right, right,
You
right,
know, just
right. We on the
sometimes
same page. We on the same page.
sometimes happy wife, happy life, homie. I'm serious. You just gotta let that ride, you know. And you know, sometimes you just gotta kind of go for yours when you know, you know, if we had contrast about it, like, you know. But nah, for the most part, that rule it'll get you some quiet. It'll get you some peace. You know,
Right,
at least
right,
at least for the
right.
moment. You know, happy wife, happy life. But that's not realistic. You know, it's not realistic to think that one person is going to be completely happy while the other person just making that person happy. Like, you know, you setting yourself up for failure if that's what you're actually going for or looking for. You're going to find somebody who one lies. You know, they're going to learn how to put on that face to make it look like everything's fine, everything's beautiful, everything's okay, but this person is dying inside. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, that's when you get, you know, the devil can walk in on us when we having those moments, you know, where
Yes, sir.
we, you know, like that's opening the door for him, you know, to have your spouse or your partner unhappy trying to make you happy. And I don't care whether that's the male or the female, you know, like that's just not realistic. If you love someone, you know, you want to understand that person. You want to go along with that person. You want that person to be happy if you love that person. You really do.
Right, right. And I like another part you said. Maybe make sure I heard it right. You spoke on basically accepting a person for who they are instead of trying to change them
You
into
have to.
what you want them to be. And that speaks a lot, especially like you said in marriage. Because if I married you, then man, I'm marrying you for who you are, not for who I want you to be. And I think that goes a
Exactly.
long way. So I'm glad that you said that, so our people can hear that for the ones that struggle. But speaking
And
of
I,
struggling, go
and
ahead
we
because you can hit on
it's
that.
that's a two-way street, you know, well, street. A lot of times we want to be accepted for our flaws, but we refuse to look over others. And what I say in situations like that is, what if God treated us with the disdain that we deserve as humankind? You see what I'm saying? Like, what if he looked at us and every time he saw us through all the bad. He saw us through the time before Noah. He saw us through the Cain and Abel dispute. If he saw us through all of the turmoil and wars and all of this stuff that we have going on right now, like if he looked at us and like he would, ugh, you see what I'm
Right.
saying? It's like we have to grant others that same grace that God grants us, and God accepts us as we are, where we are. You see what I'm saying? And if we claiming to love a person, we have to learn to love that person and accept them as they are, not only as they are, but where they are. And that's something that I believe our generation has lost because they'll pass on a perfect love because the person is not in a financial situation that they deem, appropriate. And then it's like, I really don't know, but I'm not out here in the dating world or anything. So I really don't, I don't know, but it just from afar, it seems like, it's just rough out here, man, because understanding is out the window. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember, like, well, just think about it. What if our grandmamas didn't want our granddaddies because of their jobs? Like, Earl, you smell like oil every day. I can't have that around me. Like, are you serious? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this man taking care of you and 8 kids. But it's like, it seems, and I don't know, but it seems like now they would tell Granddaddy Earl to be out of their house by the time they get off work or whatever the case may be.
That's
And
real.
that is sad and scary and just a lot of different, emotions, man. That's it's weird. I just don't get it, because everybody is just out for happiness. And man, my pastor says all the time, happiness comes from happenings. You see what I'm
Mm,
saying? Like, as long as things are going well, you're going to be happy. You see what I'm saying? But that also leaves the door open for the devil to come and just throw a little wrench in your plans right quick. And if he can mess up your happenings, he can mess with your happiness. You see
right,
what I'm
right.
saying? But joy comes from the Lord. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of people, they need to understand the difference between happiness and joy, and then we need to apply that to our everyday situations. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, the same choices that are being made and people walking away, this, that, and the other, it happens with churches as well. You have people who they've gone to a church because their grandmama went to it and their great grandmama went to it, and all of a sudden now this church ain't good enough for for this next generation. It's like, man, it goes on with a lot of stuff outside of just relationships. We as people now, we quit, man. We are not finna stick through nothing. If soon as it's, as soon as our happiness don't line up with, with what's going on, we looking for an exit. And I believe until we get over that as a society, we're gonna continue to hurt one another. We're gonna continue to put one another down, because that's not necessarily intentional that we put one another down. Sometimes we put one another down just by speaking, what you believe should be happening in a situation where this person who's actually going through this is like, nah, ain't nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like now they think, or you may be looking at them as if they're less than, I mean, it's crazy now, man. It's crazy.
Okay, I like that because you kind of jumped into one of these questions,
I'm
and you can
sorry,
really
man.
go in. No, it's
I
fine.
probably should have listened to him.
No, it's fine because you actually kind of led into this one.
Yeah.
So we spoke about this last week, and I'm kind of paraphrasing because I'm not really remembering exactly everything we said, but we spoke about the younger people that are, like you just said, going to church because that's where their parents went, their grandparents went, but yet alone their parents made them go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometime Friday, but every Sunday. And now their excuse is,
I
I'm
went to
burnt out.
church forever.
Yes.
Well, I mean, as a child who grew up in the church, that is something I understand. But at the same time, we have to understand that there's a difference in our relationships with these buildings and these congregations and these pastors and a relationship with God. those two things coincide once you can actually do both in a day. You can go to church and and be with the congregation and serve the Lord that day, but you need to understand that those two relationships are different. You have your church relationship with your congregation, the members and the people around you, people who feed off of you, people who you feed. You see what I'm saying? Spiritually, financially, whatever the case may be, you have that aspect of it. And then you have the relationship with God. That is the most important. The relationship with God is the most important in that situation. And a lot of people, when they stop going to church, they slap the brakes on their relationship with God as well. You see what I'm saying? Now that is the issue, because you have a lot of people like, man, I could just wake up and watch church on my phone, and it's like, yeah, you can, but are you really gonna feel what is being said? Are you really gonna apply what is being said? Are you cognitive enough to be taking notes? And as you watching your phone, like you would be writing down the important stuff you see on the program while you're at church. It's just a different thing to go to church on your phone. But is it possible? Of course it is, because when COVID happened and we couldn't go to church, I was sick of not being in church, and I started doing our church services in my living room every Sunday. My wife would, she would sit and do my music and stuff. She would read my announcements for me. We did the entire program of church, but I was sick of not being in church. And I started having church in my living room because we couldn't go to church. Now, can it be done? Yes. But man, when as it came, the safety was okay to actually start going back into the congregation, going back into the house of the Lord, actually seeing some of the people that I hadn't seen in several weeks or months or whatever the case was. It was like it was altogether different. The relationship with them as individuals and the relationship with God seemed different, because it just felt like we had spent a lot of time away from God or outside of his house. And that wasn't something I was used to, because I grew up so deeply in the church. My grandmother, y'all know Jackie, our grandmother, she lived right down the street from the church, like 5, 6 doors down from the church. We spent every summer, winter, spring, and fall in them doors. I mean, Bible study, teachers meeting, it didn't matter what the case was, man. BTU, we were there. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? So I understand how people can be burnt out with, the atmosphere, but you can't be burnt out with God. You see what I'm saying? Like, our purpose is to serve. Our purpose is to worship. You see what I'm saying? That's just like you go to your job and say, well, man, I just don't want to do it today. Like, I ain't gonna show up and I ain't gonna do my job. Like, what's gonna happen? You see what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, and I'm not saying that God will forsake us, because he said he never will, but we owe him loyalty. We owe him honor. We owe him so much, so much more than just, all right, man, I came to church, I did my part. It's like, what have you done for the people of God? Because God said, if you love me, feed my sheep. Like, that was his command. Oh, you love me, Peter. So you say you love me. Oh, for real? You love me, bro? If you love me, feed my sheep. That was what he wanted for us to do. So, you have those situations.
Herman, so I kind of got a two-parter, right?
All right.
Um, and I asked it twice so that you got everything.
Gotcha.
First, what is your advice to someone who feels they don't need to have a relationship with God? Um, and do you ever, or have you ever had a moment where you question God, uh, or is it not okay to question God?
Hmm. It's human nature to question everything. You know, that's just what we are. Uh, I've never questioned whether God was real. I have questioned why a lot of times. Like, I've always known that God was there. I've always known that He's watching me. My question to God, when I have them, it's usually, why I gotta be like this? Or, what did I do to deserve this level of punishment? Or, or those types of questions. And I'm okay with having, I'm not perfect. Yes, I have questioned why God chose me for some of the terrible things that happened, over the course of my life. But I've never questioned whether He was real or not. As far as advice to someone who doesn't believe that they should have a relationship with God,
No,
I've had,
relationship that don't need the church to have a relationship with God.
oh, what advice would I give someone who felt like they didn't need the church to have a relationship with God?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you truly believe you can't serve Him in isolation, and I know how that sounds, but even in our church covenants, after we're baptized in church, we have to say the covenant, having been led as we believe by the Spirit of God. Like, it goes so on and so on and so forth. That's kind of like the bylaws or the obligation of a newcomer in Christ. It says in the covenant that if you are to leave this body or this church that you were sitting in, then whenever you get to wherever you're going, you need to, if you are in, I guess, 20 miles or something, just associate with another church. See, that's what happens. We get upset with church people, and then we take it out on God. And I'm not saying that, every place doesn't have their own, situations and stuff like that. But I'm saying if it has gotten to the point where you are, done with the people of God at the place that you're currently at, it's time for you to find a new group of people of God, not necessarily stop congregation, with the followers all together. You don't know who you're cutting yourself off from. You don't know who you're cutting off from you. You see what I'm saying? Like, church is about congregation. It's about much more than just it's about much more than, just what we're wearing and all this kind of stuff, man. A lot of the things that I've asked God for, they came in the form of other saints. You see what I'm saying? It's like, and that happens, man. I've had financial situations that I only prayed about, hadn't told anybody what I was going through, this, that, or the other. And then a financial blessing comes from one of the people of God, not God Himself. He didn't step out of the sky, open the sky up, and give me $5,000 for a business I was trying to open. You see what I'm saying? But in the Bible, it says if you pray in private, then those things will happen, you know, in the public. You see what I'm saying? So I've had situations where we've prayed in private and then it's an actual follower of God or somebody being obedient to God's will in their life, and that blessing happens to match the one that I asked for. You see what I'm saying? That can't happen if I'm not going to church, or I don't show up, or I don't, I'm not there for the people of God, or my telephone number ain't good for, the people who feel like they're going through something or they're sick and they need someone to come. You have to be in congregation. I don't believe that we can properly serve God in isolation. And I say that because everywhere in the Bible, you always had somebody who was doing right, but the main focus of God was always what the children were doing, what the children of Israel were doing. It's like, yeah, Moses doing everything you say. So, kind of by logic, Just let Moses teach everybody else and this, that, and the other, and we good. But no, that wasn't good enough for God because he wanted to hear us. You see what I'm saying? Not only, worshiping him, but on one accord. Like that's something I believe is very important to God, that we drop all of our, human things and all the things that keep us apart, like that we somehow transcend the things that separate us and we come together. I think he's glorified in that. And I believe that, if he be lifted up, then he'll draw all men unto him. That doesn't sound like something that can happen in isolation. You see what I'm saying? So I would say to the person who believes that they can, worship in isolation, I would say take as much time as you need or as much time as you feel like you need, and then find your way back into the fold, please, because the fold needs you. You see what I'm saying? It's not just you need church. No, church needs you. You see what I'm saying? The congregation needs you. There are children who probably look up to you because you're just, a well put together person to them, and they like you, and they want to hear what you have to say. And you saying it's cool to get A's on your report card, make it cool to get A's on your report card. Whereas you have students who are, because I was one of these. At one point in my life, I was too smart. I'm dead serious. I would make perfect grades on tests and stuff like that. And I would intentionally make mistakes so that I wouldn't be looked at as perfect. You see what I'm saying? If somebody had told me, Herman, it's cool to be smart. You see what I'm saying? Like, I have no idea where I could have ended up. It's cool to understand a book that your friends don't understand. Like, you don't have to sit in your literature class and fake like you don't get it, because you and the English teacher, the only people who understand the story, and you're going to sit here and fake like you don't get it because none of your friends get it. Like, someone should have said, man, that's cool, bro. Like, it's cool to understand this. You can help your friends. You see what I'm saying? Somebody should have told me, man, you could, after you get your lesson right or whatever, you can help whoever you want to help. See, but what I did, instead of trying to get myself together and then helping who I could, I just decided to, just kind of dial it back a bit. I'm not going to be as smart in public. When it come time for the standardized test and this, that, and the other, I'm going to get as close as I can to a perfect grade. But when we just doing, little stuff in the classroom, I'm not going to hand her a perfect essay. You see what I'm saying? I wish there had been someone in church that I would have considered cool enough who could have told me that it was cool to be smart. The thing is you could be that person to somebody. And you don't even see that. You don't understand it. You don't know that that's the role you play in their lives. But to somebody, you could be a rock star. You see what I'm saying? And the simplest, man, I would start that business. Or I could, man, if I were you, or man, you should definitely get in behind that business. Like, your influence means something to somebody. And the only way we get to really play out our influence in other people's lives, or really let the influence of others have a role in our lives, is to be in congregation, is to be around these people. Now, everybody got to, I understand being tired of church. I get it. I spent my life, in a sanctuary. I get it. But at the same time, I wouldn't choose anything else, because I know that God is glorified in us being together.
Okay. So this one here is a little personal, because I've gone through my times as well. So this one might hit a little home for me, but others that had that problem too. When it comes to God, I guess, have you ever, or do you ever, question God? And is it okay to question God?
I'm not going to say it's okay. because, I'm a parent. And a lot of times when it comes to our relationship with God, I try to look at it as my relationship with my kids. If I'm telling my child to get out of the street and she don't want to get out of the street, but she can't see the car that I see that's coming. You see what I'm saying? Is it okay for her to question me on why she needs to get out of the street? Or does she just need to get out of the street? You see what I'm saying? I would like for her to not question me and just get out of the street so she can avoid the impending danger. That's what I want. You see what I'm saying? But I, as a parent, I understand human nature. And if my child don't see what I see, she's not going to understand why she needs to stop having fun right here, right now, and get out of the street. So it's like, I'm not saying it's okay to question God, but I'm saying I understand when we do. When we question God, we question him from a place of hopelessness. That's the only time it ever comes up, is everything looks like it's up, man. The chips are down, man. Your back's against the wall. Like, those are the only times that we even have the conversation about questioning God. And I'm not saying it's okay. I don't believe it's okay to question God, because I believe that his will is imminent and that, we're all going to end up where we need to end up. But at the same token, sometimes we don't see the car that's coming down the street, and God sees the car. And if you keep playing in the street, you're going to get hit by the car. You see what I'm saying? So his will is for you to be prosperous, for you to succeed, and for no harm to come to you. We have to learn to trust that his will is what's best for us in our situations that come up in our lives. And until we understand that God's will is best for us, you're going to question God a whole lot. But I'm here to tell you that, like, it's not always perfect. A lot of times, even for like rich people, I don't want to, do any bragging or any such thing, but I grew up around people who had, and it's not always nice, on that side of the street too. They have problems as well. Sometimes the problems are financial. Sometimes they're life problems that, but it's like life happens to us all, man. And you are going to have those moments where you question, God. I would definitely implore you not to question your faith or wonder if God's not there because, stuff is going bad. We have to understand that, Jesus was crucified. This was God's son, his perfect and holy vessel sent to earth, man. He could have opened the sky that day, ended it all that day, probably upset enough to do it that day. And he didn't. You see what I'm saying? So it's like suffering is a part of life. Somebody told me as long as it hurts, you can still feel something. And that made a lot of sense to me. As long as it still hurts, you can still feel something. Now, I'm not saying that life is supposed to be just this dreary and drab thing, man, and you're not supposed to get any joy in this life. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that you are going to have those times where you question what's going on in your life because you can't see the outcome, you see? But a lot of times we have to kind of just dial it back and realize that what if God giving me $1 million right now is the worst thing that could possibly happen for my family? What if $1 million would break my happy home up? You see what I'm saying? It's like sometimes the stuff we ask for is not necessarily the stuff we need, and we serve a God that will provide our needs according to his riches and glory. So I've had those moments where I've been, thousands of dollars up, and I've had those moments where I've been thousands of dollars down, and I've never lost my faith in God as an entity, but I have questioned, why me, or why this, or why now, sometimes. I'm saying that it's not okay to question him, because his will is always going to end up being what's best for you. But at the same time, I understand, that people have those moments where, it just ain't making much sense. And you start asking questions, in your situation. And I hate to reverse your interview, but in your situation, what was going on in your life at the time that you actually had this doubt?
What you know about tender? I'm talking turkey legs that are evenly smoked, never dry, delectable and delicious, exploding with flavor, and best of all, ready for pickup. When you think tender, think Pig Out Barbecue, home of the biggest, most juicy, flavor-bursting turkey legs in the DFW. You know they call it Mississippi season for a reason, so get yours today. Catering and pre-orders available. Just call 601-842-4338. Look at God.
Okay, so one of my biggest things, kind of like you said, I try to actually not bring it up often, but my previous wife passed away due to cancer.
I'm so sorry.
And we tend to and another thing happened that I saw on Facebook too, and it just kind of hits home where, and I'll explain what I mean by this. Young lady was saying that I'm tired of praying and asking, and God's not talking to me. I just give up. And the reason I asked that question because I was in that same boat when I felt like the time I needed you the most is the time.
There.
But of course I'm human, but at the time
Right.
I'm thinking like, why would you not help someone that I feel has done no harm to the world or anything? I mean, that typical where you got the folks out there that's doing whatever they want to do and living the best life. But here we are, one of your greatest soldiers got the greatest battle, and you brought it on home. And now I just don't understand why you would do that. If I prayed to you, all these people came, we came together, as they say, one or more come together. We came together, just nothing worked. So I went through it, and one of my best friends is actually Demario Davis. I'm not sure if you know him, number 56.
That name sounds very familiar.
He played for the Saints. But I actually it's my best friend. So I actually mentioned it to him, and he told me it's nothing wrong with questioning God, because he was just like, sometimes you need to understand it, but you had to be ready for it to respond. And that's kind of how he explained it to me.
But that's what I get at, because you say that he answers in silence, and my thing was, if I ask you a question and you don't respond to me, that's going to feel like a whole different situation. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes not questioning him can keep down your own frustrations. But man, in those situations like yours, I've seen the extreme on both ends of that spectrum, man. When I was at Southern Miss, took comparative religion, and a gentleman named Dr. Odom, I'll never forget him. He was a former preacher, I think Methodist preacher. And if I'm not mistaken, it was either his child that died in childbirth, or his child and his child's mother, or his wife, his child and his wife. I can't really remember whether it was one or both, but it was one of those situations. This gentleman was teaching me comparative religion. Here I am, 19-year-old son of a preacher, raised by a preacher who was raised by a preacher, know the word of God. At the time, I was fully into Freemasonry. And Freemasonry, it actually sent me back to the Bible, you know, more so than a lot of people. I wanted to read the things in the Bible that were Masonic. And then I realized that that's most of it. You know, so I knew the word, I was strong in my beliefs, I had, you know, everything in my mind, and it was so hard for me. I had to call my daddy and tell my daddy, I just don't get it, man. Like, I can't listen to a man who hates God, because that was his relationship, you know, at the time when he was teaching me. Maybe something's happened in his life that's changed this, but at that time he was very, 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 very frustrated with God. And he's teaching missionary Baptist preacher's son comparative religion. So his goal was to teach me to respect all the other religions of the world, while he himself had an alt with my religion. So we kind of went at it, you know, daily. You know, I had to realize that this man was my instructor, and what he said was actually, you know, gonna go or whatever. But he did respect me enough to not try to change my beliefs. He asked me one day in class, though. He said, "Why do you serve God?"
Hmm.
And I did not have an answer for him, man. You know, I mean, I know now, you know, I serve him because it's who I am. It's what I do. But when he asked, I had no answer for him, man. And he was like, "Well, why do you wake up early on Sunday morning? You should get some rest." He said, "Don't God get rest on Sundays?" Oh, boy, listen, this man was, oh man. But when I tell you, he was one of the most intelligent and well, you know, just, oh, he was well read, well studied. You know, he was a gentleman about, you know, his situation. And then one day I just had to know, man. I was like, "Why do you hate my God?" And that man told me that he was a minister. And my heart dropped, because I'm like, how could you, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, how could you, you know, like, how could you come to this? Told me he told the class, you know, that day, the situation with, you know, him losing his wife, and they had prayed and they had gathered all the prayer warriors, and they had brought it before all the churches in that region, not only his, but, you know, they were going to other churches, you know, soliciting prayer. You know, they were doing all of the things that the people of God, you know, think we're supposed to do when those situations are upon us, man. And he said none of it worked. And then he said that, you know, he just couldn't see himself serve a God who could take someone so sweet. And I heard him and I understood. That's always been one of my greatest superpowers, man, is that I understand. I try to listen with an empathetic ear, you know, to kind of hear a story through someone else, or, you know, try to experience that situation with them to try to grasp a better understanding of why they think the way they do and stuff like that. Well, anyway, he said he couldn't serve a God that would take someone so sweet. And then I never said this to him, but this was, you know, what I thought in my mind. I said, what if God could not see past the fact that we killed his son, man? His only son. Like, what if he had a vindictive heart like ours? What if his grace and his mercy didn't supersede all of the things that we've done to wrong him? And I'm not, because I would have been devastated had I lost my wife when we had our situation. Like I said, she was gone for several minutes. And when she did come to, we spent 21 days in the hospital. I couldn't be in the ICU with her for a time. You know, so I picked a room that was adjacent so I could see in her window, and that's where I slept for like 14 days. You know, I would have been devastated had I lost my wife. But while I was praying for my wife, I wasn't praying for him to break his will in order to satisfy
Mm.
what it was that I wanted. Excuse me. I wanted my wife to live. I did. But I wanted his will to go forth, whatever that meant. And I surrendered that to him on the floor of a waiting room in the ICU at the Baptist in Jackson. And if it was his time to take her from me, then it was just his time to take her from me. Because we're all going to lose each other one day, one way or another, whether it's cancer or asthma or old age. We're not going to be able to hold on to one another forever. We're not going to be able to keep the life in the
Right.
bodies that we've grown accustomed to.
Right.
And that hurts, you know, especially when you're talking about someone so young, and especially when you're talking about someone who is a part of your story. It's not like you were talking about an elder or somebody who had a chance or opportunity to fully live life. You know, we talking about your baby, man. You see what I'm saying? So I get the frustration because I've been there and I know that hurt. I know that pain. I know that frustration. I know that feeling. I thank God that he didn't take my wife, but I know one day I'm either going to have to leave her or she's going to have to leave me. And I don't want this great life that God gave us and this great time, no matter if it's just these 11 years or I think it was 5 or 6 when we actually had this situation. It took everything in me, man. But I thank God for those 6 years. Every single second of it, every moment we smiled, every tear we shed, the children. I thank God for all of it. And I had to be okay with whether he took her or not. Because whether he took her or not that day, one day, either I'm going to lose her or she's going to lose me. And I don't plan on hating God that day either. You know, I don't plan on, I'm going to want to know why. But he ain't going to answer me. And him not answering me ain't going to do nothing but frustrate me. But man born of a woman will surely die. That's the one thing in life that's a constant. Death will visit us all. Whether it's when we're children, whether it's when we're adults, whether it's, you know, we're sitting in a car at a gas station and some other people get into it and we catch a stray bullet. You never know, man. Death is no respecter of persons. Thief in the night, man.
Yes.
Hey,
But I never wanted to let tragedy wreck the beautiful ride that I've had with God thus far and that I plan to have even after whatever tragedy befalls my life. I want to always have that relationship with him. And then one day I could see my wife again.
Right.
But man, I'm so sorry I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Well, see, I like the way you put a point, and I never really thought about it that way. And then, Rap, I let you go, my bad, brother. I never thought about it that way, because if you really sit back and think about it, it's never a right time in your mind, and you
Ever.
just made it very clear. Because what's the difference in today and
In
10 years
20
from now?
years. Yeah.
There you go. And I'm glad to hear it because now it makes you really think twice about that. Like you said, that just shouldn't put a halt to my relationship with God because it would never be a time where I would be like, hey God, you can take it now. So I definitely
Right.
understand the way you right.
But the
I
thing
like the way you
is,
put that.
I understand. And God understands too, man. He understands your frustration. He know that he took her at a time in your life where you were definitely not ready to give her up. You see what I'm saying? His reasoning, we'll never know because his mind is bigger than our mind. His thoughts are greater than our thoughts. We'll never understand the whys or the wins. But, we have to, my daddy would have said, keep your hand in his hand. A lot of that stuff he used to say, man, I had no idea what he was talking about, man. It just completely, man, what you mean keep my hand in God's hand? I want to, I'm upset right now. It's like, you can't forget all of the beautiful things that God blessed you with and all of the beautiful things that he gave you, including your wife. You can't forget all of that. And, when we lose something or someone, and it's not going to be easy to lose people that are good people. It'll never be easy. It'll never be okay. Like you said, it would never be a time that we deem appropriate, to let them go. So we just have to find peace and be content in the time that we've spent, in the love that we've shared, and all of the things that he's given us. We can't look at God only when the stuff get bad and when it get rough and when it get tough. We got to acknowledge him in our good times as well. And if we acknowledged him in our good times as well as our bad, we will realize that we have way more good days than we have bad days. We gain way more stuff than we'll ever lose. You see what I'm saying? But we only look up on the days we lose stuff. And that, it hurts me to even say that to you, brother, because I know that pain. But like I said, I understand your frustration when you were having your frustration. And God understands it too. And he ain't never took his hand off of you. I don't care how long it been since you've been to church. We his children, man. You are his child. No matter how far we stray, he's always there. Even in the situations where we don't see him, just like the footprints poem. God, it was a lot of times I look back and in those footprints, I only saw one set of footprints. Why was it that you left me in those times? And he
Right.
said,
But you was
I didn't
carrying me.
leave you.
Yeah.
Those were the times I was carrying you.
Yeah.
We got to be content in that because I would look back over my life and realize that, oh, yeah, I wasn't making it on my own power
That's right.
through that time. You probably had to be strong for people, while they trying to worry about you and you trying to worry about them. It's like God was carrying you even then. In the moment, he hadn't left you. In the moment of you asking him, where are you, bro? Where are you, bro? You weren't walking under your own strength and power. You were being carried at those moments.
Right.
We have to understand that he's just it's different, it's different.
So Herman, and I'm sure that you've seen the video uh all over social media
Oh,
uh with them
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
having that little girl get up, and we discussed it on last week episode. And this one of the main reasons I wanted to get you on here, because I really, really, really wanted uh your opinion.
yeah. A lot of people have been asking my opinion on that situation, and I've reluctantly remained silent because I don't know where they were. Y'all know what city and state that was?
I don't.
Don't
No, I
I?
don't know. I do know that they separate the men and women on two separate sides of the church.
What's the point of that?
I have no idea. I'm just telling you.
Oh,
It's an old fashioned church. Old fashioned.
well, I don't know. Man, I'm gonna be honest. I'm Southern first. I'm missionary Baptist. We don't really. I've never been a part of a congregation that openly. Now, I mean, you'll have the gossip, but I've never had a situation or even seen a situation. Well, yes, I have, where the church openly gets involved in the lifestyles and stuff of their members. You have, and I'm not gonna say who because Jackson's a very small place, and all you got to do is start putting two and two together, and you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. So I ain't even gonna say who it was or what happened or when, but there was a situation in Jackson where a beautiful child of God, she got pregnant and she was on the dance ministry. Now, mind you and me now, as a pregnant individual, you can't dance, praise dance, at church anyway. It's dangerous. You got spinning and jumping and falling and all of this. So you're in a situation where this person was gonna have to not participate anyway. But the effort was put forth to make it known that she wasn't welcome to dance with the dance ministry anymore because of her situation. She didn't have to apologize and all of this other stuff, but that ministry broke her heart, but they did not break her relationship with the Lord. That situation there, where they made that baby come before the church, how honest can I be, man?
Real raw and relevant. Be as honest as you want to be.
They brought a baby, a literal baby, an 18-year-old child, before a group of sinners. And that's any congregation. I don't care how holier than thou your church is. Anytime you have a gathering of people, you are looking at a group of sinners, period. They brought a baby before a group of sinners and made her apologize. Now, do I condone teenage pregnancy? No, I do not. Do I think it's okay? No, I do not. But at the same time, why the mama ain't apologized for not knowing what her baby was that day? Why the daddy didn't have to apologize for not letting this young man know how important it is that you don't touch my daughter in a manner that can lead to children? If we gonna go down a list of people to be upset with, you know, it don't stop at the baby. It don't start at the baby. It boiled my blood, dog. Oh, man. And it was like, in the video I saw, she didn't seem like anything was wrong. You know, she came before the church, probably how, you know, she's seen other people come before the church, and she apologized. She stood on, you know, her beliefs. And I heard a follow-up where the mama was like, you know, y'all get out of their business. This is how they church operates. And this, and I, listen, I'm in no position to tell another man of God how he should run his church or how, you know, his church should be operated. But I know for a fact that God, and I mean Christ now, Jesus did not handle us, the church, in shame. When he met the woman at the well and he was telling her, you done had several husbands, and the one you with now, he ain't even yours. He could have said that in his Sermon on the Mount. You see what I'm saying? He could have pointed at her and say, hey, you sinner, ma'am, don't you know that sleeping with another man, another woman's husband is wrong? Don't you get that? You done slept with 5 married men, and the man you with right now, he is not your man. He didn't use shame to change people. What people don't understand is that shame is going to continue the cycle that we have going on in the church right now. People get shamed and people leave. And that is not healthy for the church. It's not even healthy. Well, I ain't going to say it's not healthy, but it's not likely that you in a church that nobody sins in, that everybody is perfect. The likelihood of that is just, oh man. And then y'all sent me another video where this young lady say that they had told her husband or her boyfriend to denounce her. And, are you serious? I just don't get it. I don't get it personally. But at the same time, it boiled my blood. And I don't know what I would have done. Like when it comes to situations like that, the first thing I think about is, you know, my father, he trained us as shepherds, man. You know, that's what he told me, you know, and my brothers, and that we were to be good shepherds. Shepherds protect flocks. Flocks consist of sheep. I can't watch a single sheep suffer alone. If I can't do nothing to stop it, I can try to isolate any and everything away from it. I don't know what I would have done. I definitely wouldn't have been quiet because that's not my personality. That ain't me. And,
it ain't.
You know, it ain't. You know, I wouldn't have been able to shut up on that one. But I wouldn't have wanted to embarrass anybody else either. But my main defense for the baby would have been that everybody out here sinning. All of y'all. Y'all finna go eat catfish as we speak. Y'all finna go eat shrimp plates as we speak. Some of you headed home to somebody, man, right now.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Some of you got dinner on at the house for these men you've been taking care of for the past 14 years, and You sleeping with this man out of wedlock because he don't want to get married, but y'all been together for 20 years, so it's okay. No. That's still considered sin. You still sleeping with somebody out of wedlock. You still shacking. You still doing all of these things. You telling me that it's imperative that we stop this baby girl in her tracks with sin.
Well,
And she should definitely understand what's going on in her life and that this is a very serious situation, young lady, that you in. But what would an apology to her pastor do?
it
Seriously.
ain't gonna change nothing.
What I say last week? What was the purpose?
What was the
It ain't
purpose
gonna
of that?
change nothing.
These people don't have a heaven or a hell to put that baby in.
There it is.
They ain't got, nothing spiritual man, get out of here, bro.
Hey, I'm
Bro,
gonna tell y'all.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't understand that one. And I know for a fact, had it happened in whether it be my church right now or the church I grew up in, the elders would not have let that happen. The elders wouldn't have let it happen. Like, ain't no way Sister Johnson finna sit here and let the pastor who hide his dirt real good, he finna be the one to make a baby apologize in church on a Sunday morning. Not in no church I ever been a part of. Like, I'm dead serious, whether it's the one I grew up in or the one I'm in now. I wouldn't have had to say nothing. I guarantee it. The mothers of the church would have beat me to it. I wouldn't have had to say a single word. The deacons of the church would have beat me to it. Like, but I wouldn't have been okay with that. I'm not okay with that now. Like, I wonder how that's gonna affect that baby. And then why the reason I've chosen to not really indulge in the conversation, about it, much really at all is because it's kind of like the Travis Hunter thing for me. I want it to go away. I just want it to go away. I don't want to share anything else about it, to make people start talking about it again. I'm not trying to change nobody's, perspective on the Travis Hunter situation or whatever. You believe what you want to believe. I want what's best for the young man, and hopefully the young man wants what's best for himself. But that man in love, and us saying much ain't gonna help much.
That's right.
Just let him know how you feel about him, and then continue to be that corner of love. And then you just, man, a lot of people don't understand, man, but sometimes you just got to get yourself set to just be here when stuff go down, to be that steadfast corner for somebody else. Stuff gonna happen. And, sometimes you just got to be the rock, man. I want to know how that's going to affect that baby. I want to know how making national news pretty much over social media, this baby that made national social media news. And it's like, how are people going to look at her? Are they going to treat her funny because she's pregnant? Are they going to treat her funny because she apologized for being pregnant? Because you got that group of folks now that just don't understand why she would get up and say she was sorry.
Right.
Just pick a reason to pick on this baby. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I'm upset with any and everything involved with that one, dog. I'm, because it wasn't our way. My father was a very understanding man, and I wasn't perfect, growing up, man. I lived life, like I knew I had somebody praying for me. And I'm serious, like, as dangerous as that is, like I lived life, and I remember even, man, I've had conversations with God that went like this. Ain't no way. I told God this. Ain't no way you will let nothing crazy happen to me, because my father is faithful to you. My daddy been too good to you, man. I lived life like that, bro. Like I had my fun, whether it be on horses, jet skis, fast cars. Man, I done borrowed. My mama had an XJ8 supercharged Jaguar, and me and my friend said got in it, and we wanted to see if we could do the dash. This thing had 200 on the dash. We 17. You can't tell me God didn't have his hands on me this whole time. But the thing is like I was living life like I just knew nothing was gonna happen to me. Like
Right.
that's scary when you're thinking about a young boy who actually had access to several things that could kill him. You know, like I don't care nothing about it, man. Like we used to ride four wheelers across the little culvert pipe. You know, he could have fell off. We go 70 feet down. You know, we just wasn't scared of nothing, man. But we.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what's crazy, right? So I was talking to my mama about it.
How's she doing?
Oh, she good.
That's good, man.
She's still who she is.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that.
And she told me that happened to her. She said when she got pregnant with my sister, they wanted her to get up and in front of church and apologize. And
apologize to who, bruh? To who and for what? You see what I'm saying?
Hey, anybody who know my mama know. Yeah,
it ain't happening.
If you waiting on her to apologize, good luck.
Well, it ain't just that, you know, but she not finna apologize for something that she, you know, and it's just me knowing of the lady. Like, for what? Like, that's gonna be the question. The new question is not, you know, can you apologize to the congregation? This for what? Which one of them gonna put me in heaven for doing it? Which one of y'all got a ticket? I need a heaven ticket. Give me a ticket to heaven, and I'll see about, you know, apologizing. Because the thing is, and this is what upset me the most about that whole situation. He didn't even request that she apologize to the Lord, bruh. You see what I'm saying? The only person who was actually offended, because we actually belong to him. You see what I'm saying? When we give ourselves in marital relations, like that's what you giving up God's stuff, man. You see what I'm saying? Like he didn't even tell her to apologize to the Lord.
Hey, and I'm gonna tell you, right, before we get out of here, that's the only person she needed to have a talk with.
Right.
Only person. And the man who is responsible for strengthening her relationship with that person, making her feel like she need to buy a ticket to get on a bus to go to a building to talk about Jesus. When he should have, I can't say what he should have done. What I would have done is had a conversation with the young lady and the young man.
One-on-one.
One-on-one.
Yes.
Definitely in the office, you know, let them stand together. You know, I wouldn't be trying to isolate them as if, you know, somebody's on punishment. No, this is the first day of you being grown today, young lady.
Mm-hmm.
And what we need to talk about is, I don't even know what the main situation to talk about is, but the only person that she offended with giving her body away was God, her mama, and daddy. I don't think he even requested that she apologize to her parents.
Nah, because her mom was standing up like, yeah, that's right. I ain't having no baby shower.
And what's that gonna change, bro?
Man, I asked them the exact question. At the end of the day,
I'm saying? Like we need to understand that baby showers ain't parties. Those are not parties. When we had baby showers, yes, they were very nice because I'm Herman Wilson and, we are who we are. The baby showers are nice, but the baby shower is like the baby's first birthday party. You see what I'm saying? It ain't got nothing to do with being happy or sad about being pregnant. It's about the people who actually love and support this child showing up to love and support this child. Now, whether we gonna do that with gift cards or Pampers or baby wipes, and you telling me you finna not have a baby shower where the baby would get bassinets. I've seen situations. My sister got a bassinet one time. Clothes for the first 2 or 3 years of this child's life. Pampers, definitely Pampers for the first 6 or 7 months of this child's life. This is what is accumulated at a baby shower. Probably enough money to help cover a few bills, because somebody finna have to take off work, or you might have to take off work when the baby's born, it's a provision party. It's a party to set forth provisions for this new life coming into the world. It ain't a party for the parents. They done changed the meaning of everything. Because now all the baby shower is about the gender reveal. What difference do it make? Is it healthy? You gonna pink and purple smoke. You finna breathe this in and kill the baby? Like, what's wrong with y'all? I don't get it.
And just like that, at the end of the day, we gonna always keep it real, raw, and relevant. Thank you for today's episode of the Rated R Podcast.